Good evening, welcome to the June 1st meeting of the Lowell License Commission. Secretary, when was the meeting posted?
Yes.
Number 1 on the agenda, please.
Minutes for a meeting of May 11, 2017.
Move for approval by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner Howe. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Number 2, please.
Proceeding with number 2 on our meeting agenda is the applications for a special one-day license to sell dispense malt beverages and wine only, or either one, for the Lowell Folk Festival. Christine DeFranzo Pelletier, on behalf of the Lowell Festival Foundation, license for beer and wine for the following venues. The foot of John Street, adjacent to Boarding House Park at 40 French Street for Friday, July 28, 2017, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday, July 29th, 12 noon to 10 p.m., and Sunday, July 30th, 12 noon to 6 p.m. The second venue is the Dutton Street Dance Pavilion, Friday, July 28th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday, July 29th, 12 noon to 10 p.m., and Sunday, July 30th, 12 noon to 6 p.m. And the third venue would be the JFK Civic Plaza, Arcan Drive, for Saturday, July 29th, 12 noon to 6 p.m., and Sunday, July 30th, 2017, 12 noon to 7 p.m.
Good evening. State your name for the record.
Pelletier?
How are you, Christine?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. How many years now?
Doing this in general, it's been about 10. License in my name, this will be the 4th year.
Fantastic. Deputy Superintendent Webb, do we have any reservations with the...
No problems, Mr. Chairman.
Fantastic. Move for approval by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Donahue. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Always do a great job over there. Continue success.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye.
Commission will now proceed with number 3 on the meeting agenda, which are application for a special one-day license to sell, dispense all alcoholic beverages. The applicant is Sakare Chow of the USA Cambodia Basketball Association, Inc. It's for the UCBA fundraiser at UTEC 35 Warren Street on Thursday, June 15, 2017, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Good evening. State your name for the record.
Sakari Chow.
Scary, how you doing tonight?
Good, thanks. How
Go
are
ahead,
you?
tell us about your event.
This event is to support the Cambodian national basketball team in Cambodia. And they have a game this year in August in Malaysia. The team, they'll be playing under the Cambodian flag, but 7 out of the starters are from Massachusetts. 4 of the starters are from Lowell. And this fundraising is supported by the mayor and state rep Radi Mom to raise money to help pay for the expenses of airplanes, a little bit of stipends and so forth.
That's fantastic. That is great.
Thank you.
Questions, comments from the board? Move for approval by Commissioner Howe, seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So, Carrie, great event.
Thank
Hope
you
it-
so
hope
much.
you do
I
well.
appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Thank you.
Good luck.
Commissioner McCarthy's going to be an alternate sub for you, so
Why not?
that's right.
Commission will now proceed with number 4 on the agenda with the application for a special one-day license to sell, dispense malt beverages and wines only, or either one. Patricia Donahue of Gallery Z at 167 Market Street. 2 applications. The first is for the Jazz Brunch with Steve Clements Jazz Trio on Sunday, June 4th, 2017, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And then there is the Father's Day Brunch on Sunday, June 18th, 2017, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Gabby Davis, made in Lowell, located at 122 Merrimack Street. Lowell has applied for 2 one-day licenses for an event at the Ecumenical Plaza. This will be the summer kickoff for Friday, June 16, 2017, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, June 17th, from 12 noon to 5 p.m. Then there is 2 applications filed by Steve Mendonca of St. Anthony Parish for St. Anthony's Parish parking lot at 893 Central Street. This will be the St. Anthony's Feast. It will be Saturday, June 17th, from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., and then there'll be the event for Sunday, June 18, 2017, 12 noon to 12 midnight. Also, we have Young Ju Choi, who is the Executive Director of the Coalition for a Better Acre, for a fundraiser at the 741 Merrimack Street facility. This will be 6 degrees of the acre, Thursday, June 22nd, 2017, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Then there is Susanna Silva of the Portuguese American Lowell Youth Center for an event at St. Anthony's Parish parking lot at 893 Central Street. That will be the St. John Feast for Friday, June 23rd, 2017, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then there'll be a second date for Saturday, June 24th, 2017, 5 p.m. to 12 midnight. And last, we have Tony Texera of the Portuguese American Lowell Youth Center, also for the event at St. Anthony's Parish parking lot at 893 Central Street. This, again, is the St. John Feast, but it will be for Sunday, June 25th, from 12:30 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Can we have all the applicants up to the lectern, please? And if you could all state your name for the record.
Patricia DeStefano Donahue from Gallery Z.
How are you, Patricia?
Gabby Davis, Maiden-Law.
Hi, Gabby.
Yunja Choi, Coalition for a Better Acre.
Good evening.
Hi, Susanna Silver for the Portuguese American Lowell Youth Center.
How are you, Susanna?
Good, and you?
Good, very good.
Tony Teixeira, Portuguese American Youth Center.
Hello, Tony.
Steve Mendonça, St. Anthony's Parish.
Hey, Steve, how are you? Who has not held a license here? Everybody understands the responsibilities there. You've had the licenses in the past. Deputy Superintendent Webb, any reservations on any of these applications?
Mr. Chairman, we don't anticipate any problems. I'm just wondering if on the, a couple of the events at St. Anthony's, if the 1 a.m. and 12 midnight ending times are a little late for a condensed residential neighborhood like that.
Mrs. Silva? Yes. Do you have any reply to Deputy Superintendent Webb's concern?
I'm sorry, I
He's concerned about the late time and being in a residential neighborhood. Do you foresee any problems with,
not really. I'll make sure that at a quarter of midnight, it'll be over.
We're gonna do the sound in a minute.
okay, that's fine with that.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other further comments from the board?
Move approval.
Move for approval by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Everyone, good luck with your events. Okay.
Proceeding with the next item on our agenda is the special events permit for amplified outdoor public entertainment. Representing William Taylor is Deputy Superintendent Jack Webb of the Lowell Police Department. This will be the movie showing. It'll be a family-friendly movie. It'll be sponsored by the Lowell's Police Department's LPD Safe Summer Movie Night. There are 4 dates, starting with Wednesday, June 28, 2017, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the North Common Basketball Court. Wednesday, July 12th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Olivera Park Little League Field. And then Wednesday, August 2nd, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is the Clemente Park on Middlesex Street. And the last date would be Tuesday, August 15th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the St. Louis School.
Sir, please, went to the lectern.
Mr. Chairman, Jonathan Webb from the Lowell Police Department, representing Superintendent Taylor.
Please indulge us with an explanation of your events.
This is the same event that the police department sponsored last summer. It'll be a series of movie nights at various locations around the city. It will be meant to provide entertainment of family-type nature, Disney movies. If it's not actually Disney movies, it'll be of a similar type. It's part of the police department's outreach program to the neighborhoods.
They're well attended, Jack?
Yes.
Yeah? Sandy, is this part of the St. Louis one?
Not the one I pulled a license for, but I kind of like ran my head off at that one as well.
All right,
But
thank you.
yes, it's very, very well attended.
Very good. Kudos to the Lowell Police Department. Comments, questions from the board? Move for approval by,
I just wanted to know if the police had had any complaints.
I don't think we've handled any complaints against ourselves
Oh, okay.
in connection with this
Thanks.
activity.
we will keep a close eye on that, though.
We certainly will.
Thank you, sir, appreciate that. Motion by Commissioner Donahue, seconded by Commissioner Howell. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries. Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Proceeding with other applications for amplified outdoor public entertainment, for those individuals that are present, Deborah Motu of the Lowell Community Charter Public School. This will be a block party, and it'll be from Wednesday, June 7th, 2017, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. in front of 206 Jackson Street with CD, laptop, speakers, and students' performance. Also, we have Gabby Davis Made in Lowell for live music, the summer kickoff at the event at the Ecumenical Plaza for Friday, June 16th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, June 17th from 12 noon to 5 p.m. Steve Mendonca of St. Anthony Church for DJ and singer for the St. Anthony Outdoor Feast, Saturday, June 17th, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. and Sunday, June 18th from 12 noon to 10 p.m. This will be at St. Anthony's Church parking lot, 893 Central Street. And the last applicant would be Tony Texera of the Portuguese American Lowell Youth Center for sound system for DJ playback with artists. The St. John Feast, Friday, June 23rd, Saturday, June 24th. Both dates, the hours would be 5 p.m. to 12 midnight, and then for Sunday, June 25th, would be 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the St. Anthony Church parking lot, 893 Central Street.
Secretary Nguyen, any reason why Mrs. Walderding is not here tonight? From Mill City Barbecue and Brew, do you know why she's not here, or?
Renee is not here. I just noticed Nick Petrakis just walked in for the Blue Shamrock.
Okay,
Read his.
so everybody's here except for Renee, right?
Renee is expected.
She is expected, okay. That's fine. Could everybody just state their name for the record, please?
My name is Deborah Motu,
Hi, Deb.
LCCPS.
Gabby Davis, Maiden Law.
Donnie Teixeira, Portuguese American Center.
Steve Mendonca, St. Anthony's Parish.
Nick Petrakis, Blue Shamrock.
I'm pretty sure everybody, Deb, have you held a license before?
Yes.
You have, okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may read the
Sure.
one for Nick Petrakis.
Sure.
Which I had not read. He is representing the Blue Shamrock, Inc. for sound system for live music, DJ, and radio for the months of June, July, August, September, October 2017. Sunday to Wednesday, the hours be 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Thursday to Saturday would be 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. at the sidewalk seating area at 105 Market Street and Palmer Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Krieger.
Yeah, I looked at this and I wondered why people being granted a license for the events at St. Anthony's, one person had the liquor license, another person the sound license. You guys are all coordinated on that, right? Because we can't have one licensee saying A and the other saying B. Okay.
Deputy Superintendent Webb, comments?
Just the same concern about the late hour and the Central Street location. Perhaps the licensees would agree to end the amplified entertainment if it becomes a problem before the midnight ending hour.
Do you have any preferred time?
No, I don't, Mr. Chairman. I think we would be satisfied if we had an understanding that if the amplified entertainment became a problem, if we asked them to end it a little early, if they would be amenable to that.
Mr. Mendonca?
Absolutely.
All right. Kind of the one and done. If the police do come there, it's gonna shut it down, all right?
Absolutely. I want to stay on good terms, so.
Okay, absolutely. Appreciate that. You okay with that, Deputy Superintendent Webb?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Texera, you as well? Okay, we're understood each other, okay. Everybody else is in good shape, by pretty much? All right. Any other comments from the board?
Move approval.
Move for approval by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, good luck. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next item on our meeting agenda is number 6. This will be a public hearing on the application filed by Rizzo's Lowell Inc., George A. Rizopoulos, President, for a malt beverages and wine only restaurant license for premises at 129-131 East Merrimack Street. There would be 4 rooms, 4 entrances, 4 exits, indoor areas, approximately 3,277 square feet. It is requested that George Rizopoulos be approved as manager of record for Rizzo's Lowell Inc. And Rizzo's Lowell Inc. has filed applications for a license for common vittler and has filed application for automatic amusement device, but I believe that application will be withdrawn. But before the commission was proceed with this public hearing, I respectfully request the commission to consider a matter to do with voting to go into an executive session for the sake of my being able to present to the board a background check that I was able to do, and it would necessitate the board considering taking the regular meeting into recess, and then vote. The executive session would be held in the mayor's reception room, and then subsequent to that matter, come back to this council chamber for resumption of the regular meeting.
I move that we move into executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Howe. Roll call?
Yes, Chairman Dakota,
Yes.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarthy,
Yes.
Commissioner Howe, and Commissioner Donahue.
Have the time stated for 6:18, Secretary Wynn?
Yeah, they got a good crowd, 200-300 people. Yeah, it's free, so gives people something to do. Good, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks, how you doing? Yourself?
Take care of Matthew, Michael. He's getting married now, so.
Is he really?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's married in June.
yeah, he's been with us a while. Yeah.
He's, July 22nd.
Good for him.
He's been long enough.
Yeah.
He's been a bachelor long enough.
Yeah.
Good
I get it. It's good. I think I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stay. I expect them to name, I'm only doing this on a provisional basis, so I expect them to name someone else fairly soon. But either way, I'm probably gonna retire next spring.
Get close to your time.
I'm overdue. So,
Your dad always said, "Two,
yeah,
and you're working for nothing."
yeah.
You just, you know,
Well, that's fine. I'll have 37, so that'll be enough.
he was retired longer than he had worked. He worked for 32 years.
Good for him.
And he got out at 55.
Yeah.
He just got rid of one job at 55. He started
Right.
the other at the pharmacy. But, he stayed there, you know. Best thing, enjoy life. He was 92, 93 when he passed away, so
No.
he did get out and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. Yeah, I was in well, back then I was in car 3. I used to get in the same Dick.
by.
Oh, sure does. Like a snap.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I was talking, I was talking to Jimmy Doyle the other day, I ran into him, I was talking.
Yeah, Jimmy's been going a while. I haven't seen him for a long time.
He was out running in the city.
Uh-huh.
He still runs. What's it? Only run when someone's chasing him. And then running that quick anymore. So. That's what he's done. I saw you over here, just wanted to go and say hello.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Enjoyed it.
We rebuilt the building after the fire.
Mhm.
So it's a crazy day that day.
Yeah. I remember that. That was something.
The only thing that survived, and I don't know how it survived, was an old pine grandfather.
Mr. Chairman, it's 6:25 PM. Respectfully request the commission take roll call for resumption of the regular session.
Proceed.
Commissioner Chairman Dakota,
Yes.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarthy,
Yes.
Commissioner Howe, Commissioner Donahue.
Yes.
Okay, 5 years.
Counselor? The floor is yours.
Again, my name is Attorney James Burke. I have with me George Vazopoulos, President of Rizzo's Lowell, Inc., and the gentleman on the application as manager. First, I'd like to withdraw our application for an automatic amusement device license permit. It was an error on my part. I thought I was just signing off saying we saw the application, but we're not applying.
It's fine.
Ms. Rizopoulos has had a prior liquor license in Peabody, Massachusetts, several years ago. He gave it up because Nordstrom's came into the North Shore Mall, and Peabody did not have any more permits available. So he transferred to them for a price, usually agreed upon price. There have been no issues with Peabody whatsoever. He left the license, sold the license off. There were no issues that the city was gonna pull it or anything like that.
Mr. Rosopoulos, how's business?
Good.
Doing well?
Yeah.
Think this license will help you out?
Yes, I do very much so.
All right. Anything further to add, Counselor? Or I've heard good things, that's why.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Krieger.
So you're applying for a common victual license, but you've been open and running now for quite a while. I think I was in there a few months ago and then in there before a couple of months. Did you not have a common victual license?
That's correct, he did not. He was operating under the misunderstanding that the Board of Health documentation was all that was necessary.
I
So
see.
now we understand.
I'm sorry?
So now we understand. Commissioner Donahue, Howe, McCarthy? Have a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, may I just interject one thing with respect to the notification to abutters and church schools within 500 feet? Attorney Burke had filed on behalf of the application affidavit
Yeah.
attesting to the notification.
Yes. Thank you.
Move approval.
Move for approval by
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman, if
Go right ahead.
you want to open for public hearing.
Oh, thank you. My error. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor? In favor, sir?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Morris Mason. I'm the trustee of Mason Realty Trust, which abuts the property. I'm here in support of the application. George has done a nice job down in that corner. He keeps the property cleaned up. He's very competent, and I think he'd do a great job with that.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. Appreciate it. Anybody else like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing no one else, that portion of the public hearing is closed. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner McCarthy. It was seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Rosa, I'm going to spell Rosa, Rizzo? I like that much easier. All right, good luck. Wish you the best.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Council.
Should have let a Frenchman do it, too. It's just not right.
Proceeding with number 7 on our meeting agenda, we have an application for public hearing that is filed by BS Collaborative, Inc., doing business as Fuji, when Chen is the president for a non-alcoholic beverage restaurant license for premises at 61 Merrimack Street. This will be 2 rooms, 1 entrance, 2 exits. Approximate square footage is 8,797 square feet. It is proposed that Ms. Yu Ping Li be approved as manager of record for BS Collaborative, and the BS Collaborative has filed applications for license for common vitler and entertainment and licensed restaurant for jukebox, TV, radio.
If you could state your name for record, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Attorney Chang, and this is Ms. Lee on my left, and this is Mr. Chen. They are the operators of this restaurant, and
Perfect. Ryan, this is the one with the past history here, correct?
Correct. In fact, BS Collaborative, Inc. had a license in 2016, was granted at that time under different ownership, and the proposed principals now, Mr. Chen and Ms. Lee, were engaged in a purchase and sale of that business and it would be initially a change of officers, directors, and shareholders. Subsequent to the filing of the application, the principal's previous surrendered the liquor license. And I learned after the fact that the surrender of the license is essentially based on the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission review of the matter, canceled the license.
Right, I remember that, okay.
So now BS Collaborative is pursuing a new license for the premises.
Okay, Mr. Chang, can you tell us a little bit about Ms. Lee's background in the business?
Absolutely. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more. It's based on my understanding. The license was previously approved by the city council back in March and April. However,
And it was an original, but
Right.
it was then
It was-
subsequent to that where an application had been filed by Attorney Lim to have
Yes.
your clients be new officers and directors and shareholders, which the License Commission had approved, I should say. But the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, learning of the surrender of that liquor license by the prior owner, canceled it out.
thank you, thank you. Ms. Lee is will be the license holder. Obviously, she's a citizen. She passed the query. They've been working very hard at the restaurant, even without liquor license. Obviously, with the liquor license, they will do better. And Mr. Chen, they're hands-on guys. They work hard 7 days a week. He's the sushi chef and also the manager. And in the future, Ms. Lee will also be the bartender as well.
What's Ms. Lee's background in the alcoholic beverage business?
Maybe you can say,
I've been working in a Peabody about 13 years.
13 years?
Yes.
And what were you doing, bartending? or-
Yes, bartending
All right.
and a waitress.
And a waitress? Have
Yes.
any managerial experience at all?
Sometimes if my boss is not there, I help him a little bit.
Okay, that's fine.
she did attended the TIPS program.
Okay.
Yes.
Does Ms. Lee understand the rules and regulations of the Lowell License Commission?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make sure I ask it again, okay? You understand the rules and regulations of the Lowell License Commission, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions and comments from the board? Nothing? All right, at this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. What is the wish of the body? Move approved by Commissioner Krieger, second by Commissioner Donahue. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We want to wish you the best of luck in your new venture.
Thank you very much,
All right.
Commissioners.
Thank you.
I-
Good
Good luck.
seeing you.
Thank you.
I just want to know, is
Yes.
sushi chef a contradiction in terms?
Sushi chef.
No cooking, right?
Maybe it has to do with the pay. Thank you, Commissioner.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have on schedule now a hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by William M. Taylor, Superintendent of Police, in a communication to the License Commission dated May 8, 2017, alleging misconduct by a corporation known as LCRC Inc., doing business as Dudley's, 19 Merrimack Street. Matthew J. Murphy is interim manager, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 19 Merrimack Street, and also a review of manager of record application from April of 28th, 2016. Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding Attorney Zane will speak on behalf, I believe, for the corporation. The matter of the allegations, part of which had to do with the incentive for many individuals to follow one another, which is commonly what is now known as a pub crawl, to various several downtown establishments. We received after our last regular meeting, May 11th, we received reports from the superintendent of the police alleging other licensees having been participated in this event called Pub Crawl, which is part of the complaint against the Dudleys. Also, with respect to Dudleys and the question of manager of record, it's my understanding, and I believe, that the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission will proceed with that application to act upon it possibly in the next several days. And I would hope and anticipate that by the next regular meeting after this evening, we would be knowing Mr. Murphy as the manager of record. So it's also believed that scheduling of the allegations of misconduct charged against, noted in our next number 11 agenda item, which has to do with the superintendent's alleging licensees having a promoter without obtaining a promoter license from the Lowell License Commission, which is a violation of Rule 2.12 of the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, of the License Commission. They are the Middle Street Village Inc., doing business as the Village Smokehouse, 9298 Middle Street, Alan F. Kaplan, manager. LD Holdings LLC, doing business as Bar 74 Lounge and Grill, 7678 Merrimack Street, David E. Healy, manager. LD Holdings LLC, doing business as Revolution, 74 Merrimack Street, Sean Bryan, manager of record. And also we have LCRC Inc., doing business as Dudley's, 19 Merrimack Street, Matthew J. Murphy, interim manager.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we defer the misconduct issue until our next meeting. And one time was 2 items, so the part involving the promoter's license be incorporated in number 11 when we address it, but that we allow Mr. Zane to talk to us if he has some additional information.
Let's take it one by one first. There's a motion by Commissioner Krieger to defer this to the next meeting concerning the pub crawl event, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. State your name for the record, Councilor.
Sure. Attorney Michael Zane for LCRC, doing business as Dudley's. And just, Mr. Nguyen summed it up very succinctly, and we want to thank him. Obviously, we've been, as you know, you approved Matt as the interim manager some time ago, and when he took over, and we explained to you there was an issue down with the Department of Unemployment Assistance and the payroll matter. That matter has been finally cleared up through working through Mr. Nguyen in constant contact with my client and the ABCC, and my client's working with the Department of Revenue to get that squared away, and we finally were able to get, he was finally able to get all caught up with that. We provided some additional documentation to Mr. Nguyen a few weeks ago, submitted down on Form 43 for a reconsideration with respect to that. I spoke with the investigator from the ABCC who indicated that part of where they run the Department of Revenue check had come back clear, and then they moved on to the next phase, which Mr. Nguyen confirmed that they had asked for the follow-up package of the information that was submitted to you, to this commission, back in April of 2016. So it looks as though that's going to proceed.
We pretty much put this to bed.
Right. So that's going to put that issue,
good,
to sleep.
All right.
Secondly, when we looked at some of the allegations with respect to that are alleged in the letter that was sent over to my client, scheduled for tonight, I had a conversation with Attorney, the Assistant City Solicitor, Mr. Wellick, and the deputy, and some of the same officers that we would need to have are going to be with the next one. So it made sense, and we had no objection to the issue that we had, and the only reason we're here was because we really weren't sure if it was communicated to the board as to whether or not it would be, that we could get to everybody to make sure it was continued.
You know Ryan better than that, Councilor.
Well, I understand that, but we just wanted an abundance of caution. We wanted to be here tonight in the event that, that there was something that...
The board appreciates it.
So we just wanted to come down and let you know, we'll fill you in a little bit on that, and then we had no objection to continue it till whenever, in the interest of saving the city a little money on that police overtime.
Well done.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just add to the motion, if the commission would consider holding the hearings for Thursday, June 22nd at 6 p.m.
That's correct. If my fellow members don't have any objection, I'd like to take number 12 out of order. No objections? Thank you, appreciate that. Number 12, Ryan.
The number 12 on our meeting agenda reads, communication from William M. Taylor, Superintendent of Police, to the License Commission dated May 18, 2017, regarding LD Holdings LLC, doing business as Revolution, Sean Bryan, manager, all alcoholic beverages, restaurant licensee at 74 Merrimack Street. The communication is an identification scan attested by a Lowell police officer.
What am I reading? Where's my I don't have a communication on this. Unless I missed it, I apologize.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, with all my apology, I did not make additional copies. And with respect to the licensee of record and the manager of record, has not received notification of the communication from the superintendent of police. I would also correct myself. It was Deputy Superintendent Deborah Friedel who had sent the communication, not the William Taylor, the superintendent.
I see that counsel's up there. State your name for the record, sir.
Attorney Travis Jacobs.
Mr. Jacobs, obviously you've read the report. Do you have any comment?
I actually have not received the report from
Right,
Mr. Wynn. I
Mr.
think
Chairman,
his
the
statement
attorney
was he
nor
never
has
sent
the
it.
licensee had.
So we're just going to we're going to schedule this then in 3 weeks? Is that what we want to do? I have an issue with this.
I'd like to suggest that the company worked in good faith.
I can show
Did not get what they needed today going on board Hanscom Air Force Base. I asked the young airman at the gate, can you tell if it's a fraudulent? And he said yes. So what they got for $1,200 was not sufficient. They have their license back. They made an effort. But I would say that if anything comes up again, they need a new machine. So I move we put this on file, and
If I may, we may be able to...
Hold on one second, Mr. Jacobs. Councilor Weller, do you have some comment before I give it to Mr. Jacobs?
I believe the agenda item was merely to receive a communication from the police department. I don't believe the licensee has received notice of any disciplinary action that the board plans on taking. Discussion about any disciplinary action would happen.
And that's fine. I just want, is it working or is it not working?
not working.
Is what working?
Is the scanner working or not
I
working?
think I can answer that for the board.
Please do.
So, Mr. Chairman, the original scanner was received, it was purchased for $1,200, it was put into operation, it was discovered not to work.
Okay.
The licensee immediately bought an additional one, had it overnighted, a much more expensive one, which is in place, operational, and works.
You answered my question.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Commissioner Donahue.
Has it been tested by the police?
I don't think they've gone by to test it yet. I don't know the answer to that.
I have a couple of heads in the back going, yes, they have. Mr. Bryan, have they been by? Okay, we'll have Deputy Superintendent Webb send somebody by. All right, thank you, sir.
So
back to our agenda.
We will go to number 9.
Number 9, please, thank you.
And this is a public hearing In consideration of the public need, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Section 12, Chapter 138, to decrease the hours during which sales of alcoholic beverages may be made by LD Holdings LLC, doing business as Bar 74 Lounge and Grill, located at 76-86 Merrimack Street. The commission may fix the hours for the sales of alcoholic beverages for a licensee before 11 a.m. and after 11 p.m. during the calendar week, which is Sunday through Saturday.
Counselor, state your name for the record.
Attorney Travis Jacobs.
Mr. Jacobs, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, as the board knows, I have not been before you since our last license hearing. My client recently contacted me and explained a variety of things that have occurred in the last 90 days of which I was not aware. And I have to admit that I was extremely shocked. We had come before the board with a security plan. We represented that we had a security team, new personnel. The prior owner has zero involvement in this new business and the new licensee. I want to make sure that's absolutely clear, because I get the impression from the stack of notices that my client sent me that there may be some misunderstanding or suspicion on that point. The first violation, and I think it's worthy of reviewing what's happened, because tonight the board is looking to essentially issue a death knell to this business. All the board members know, and certainly board members who've owned a liquor establishment previously know, that if you reduce the hours of this business, you are going to destroy it. It will have no money to hire the security personnel that it needs. It will have no additional funds to bring on more security personnel to pay for high technology items like scanners, cameras, earpieces. And I think that doing a reduction of hours will be counterproductive. But I also think that if the board reviews the history of these recent violations, you'll see that something is going on that may not be necessarily equitable. For example, the license that was issued by the ABCC approved was on February 28th. That's when I got the notice. They hadn't even picked up the piece of paper that states you have a license from the city until March 3rd. That very day, according to the report from the superintendent of police, a routine inspection was conducted at the licensed premises for appropriate posting of licenses and other legal notices. And on March 3rd, although they had literally just received the piece of paper, it was not yet hanging on the wall, and the old Mill City license was hanging on the wall. They were issued a violation for that. Several other very minor paper-related violations were issued. Not having a notice informing people that driving under the influence results in state crime penalties. Not having a notice that you're charging a cover charge, not issuing a receipt. These are very minor issues, and they all occurred within an extremely short period of time of approval of this license. So when I read that, I wondered, for 2-3 years, 2 male licensees owned this establishment and these 2 licenses and ran those establishments so poorly and had multiple violations. One of the previous owners, well, I'll get into that later. But in all that time, I can't find a single record of ISIS going by to conduct a routine inspection, and certainly not on the very day they received the City Hall license. So that kind of raised my ire. What is going on here? So I start going through the rest of these reports. And I discovered some issues. For example, on March 24th, the board was presented with an incident where a 19-year-old girl was discovered having had passed out in a bathroom. Now this, my understanding, was a very big issue before the board and resulted in some hefty suspension. But when you read the report, you read that these individuals went to the bar all with fake IDs, apparently that were pretty good, one of which, the girl who was passed out and supposedly missing, was a valid ID. My client was required to get an ID scanner after that, but even if they had one, even if they had the highest, most technologically advanced ID scanner, it would have shown up as valid anyway, because the ID was that girl's older sister, who genetically certainly looked very similar to her. So then, on April 7th, there were 2 incidents in the reports. The first incident was an alleged assault by 4 black men against an Arabic man. Now, my research into this gentleman suggests that he reported a very similar incident at another bar in Lowell, and after the incident stated no injuries, requested no criminal charges, just like in this particular case, where he alleges that inside the premises, 4 black men, for no reason, punched him in the face and were never seen again. There was no commotion, no crowd circled these 4 black men who had just punched this single Arabic man in a bar for no reason. He was outside of the bar when he saw police and apparently told them of this incident. The police report actually says they saw no visible injuries, that the gentleman specifically said he did not want any further police involvement, and he declined EMT assistance and never filed charges. I read that report and I wonder, why did the police or no one sought to get a witness statement? No one sought to look at the camera video. I question whether this incident is even valid. Then the very same night, there's a report of an unruly crowd exiting the bar. Now, if you read this report, the licensee isn't even mentioned, not once. The statement of reasons issued by the board actually says that police testified that a perpetrator who had allegedly threatened to stab people with a knife was seen directly in front of the door to the licensed premises. But nowhere in any of the reports done by police that night does it state that. It states the opposite. It states that police saw the perpetrator pointed out by a witness 100 feet away walking toward Palmer Street, not near the licensed premises. In addition, nowhere in that report does it identify the licensed premises as the location where this incident occurred. It actually says road or roadway. So the licensee was issued a citation for that, for failure to report to police an incident. But that incident didn't even involve the licensee. Now, while we're on the topic, I have a couple of issues because I've gone through the city's regulations with a very fine-tooth comb, and I have a couple of things that I'd like to point out. Rule 1.16, manager's responsibilities, has come up several times in violations against my client. The language of this particular regulation is very ambiguous. It says, quote, "In all instances where the police are called to the licensed premises, regardless of the extent or severity of any incident involving people in or on the premises, the licensee or manager shall submit a notice to the License Commission." Now, the statement of reasons issued by the board only refers to failure to notify due to a police response to the licensed premises. But these are very different things, and they matter in terms of constitutional due process and notice as to what a statute or a regulation requires of a licensee for compliance. Take the word police called to the licensed premises. Well, called by whom? How is a licensee supposed to know if a third party, Joe Schmo, on the street with a cell phone calls police for an incident in the street and they give the premises address? Is the licensee supposed to report that notification just like occurred on April 7th, where there was an unruly crowd in the street The address is 76 Merrimack Street, but the location is identified as the roadway. There was no call. Police were already there. And the incident didn't involve the licensee. So how is a licensee supposed to know when are they obligated to comply with Rule 1.16? Is it a call by them? Is it a response to the licensed premises? The police do not provide licensees with a notice that says, hey, look, we responded to your premises. You now have a duty to notify the board. That doesn't happen. So for all intents and purposes, the police could respond to an incident outside, the licensee has no notice of it, and then the superintendent of police issues a statement to the board saying, hey, we showed up there, they didn't notify you, have at it against them. And what are they to do? The other regulation that pops up a lot, and it seemed to pop up with the gentleman before us, is this issue with promoters. Now, I went and read through this particular regulation as well, and I quote, any licensee utilizing the services of a promoter defined as an individual acting as a third party to the licensee for advertisement and to generate revenue for the licensee shall get a license for that promoter, or the promoter must get the license. Now what's interesting here is this pub crawl was organized by an entity, not an individual. So for both of those cases, I don't think that they're in jeopardy of a license violation because the promoter was a company. And the statute is ambiguous on who constitutes a promoter. But let's say, for example, the board decides to modify the regulations and change it to say, defined as any person or entity acting as a third party to the licensee for advertisement and to generate revenue. Then Google is a promoter. Because all these bars in Lowell and all the business owners, the hair salons, the car dealerships, they're all using Google, paying them money called Google AdWords to generate revenue and advertise their business to the world. So Google is effectively promoting their business, and under the terms of this regulation, Google is a promoter, and all these bars and you know, if the word was individual and entity, all these bars would be in violation. So at what point does the licensee really understand under section 2.12 when their duty to get a license for a promoter is triggered? Because in this case, in this particular incident with this pub crawl, this was a company. This is a company that does this all over the place. They promote pub crawls all over the place. They have a Facebook page. You know, they're an entity. They are not an individual. The other side of that coin, too, is at what point does the board have a duty to start looking at the promoters? Because I don't see any promoters on the list of the agenda today. And the reason why there's none on the list is because it's virtually impossible to enforce. Because when you have companies like Google falling within the definition of a promoter, or even if it's just some Joe Schmo who swings through town, says, hey, all they're doing is printing up flyers and posting something on Facebook, that's all these people are doing. They can just fly by night. They don't need to come here and get a license. All the burden is put on the licensee. And when you read these regulations, I can't determine under what circumstances a liquor licensee is required to get a license for a promoter. At this very moment, I know from my client talking with her, and just from the sheer fact that she asked me to come back up here, she is devoted to making this work. When we came before here, I explained that this was her life savings, and it is. She has nothing else. So for her to lose this business is for her to literally lose a decade of working to save to buy a business like this. And I honestly would much rather if the board was going to, from day one, treat them with go after them on day one for a paper violation of not putting that license on the wall, literally the afternoon that it was picked up from City Hall. I wish, in a sense, maybe they shouldn't have transferred it in the first place. Because this poor woman will be literally without any of her savings and no means of earning an income. But just from the recent incident with the ID scanner, that she came in here for that hearing and the very next day got an ID scanner. And when that one didn't work, she paid extra money to get it FedExed. She cares. The prior 2 licensees at this place, you guys had a ton of problems with them. But the incidents that they were involved with were massive. One of those owners was caught beating his girlfriend while drunk in the bar. The other owner was, had bartenders who were leaping over the bar and assaulting patrons. You had people underage drinking in there all the time. And when an incident happened, there were actually 4 incidents, and I printed out an article. There were 4 incidents in 2016 alone. June 26, 2016, a security guard struck from behind when he was trying to get a group of people to leave at closing time, and someone got pepper sprayed. July 30th, a fight broke out inside Mill City. One officer had to stun gun and subdue another man. May 1st, bartender tackled and injured a patron, leaped over the counter.
Counsel, if we could stay on point concerning Revolution and Pub 74, I'd appreciate it.
The reason why I mention these incidents is because despite all of those incidents, it wasn't until September that the board suspended the licensee's license for 17 days. At no time did the board consider issuing a death knell, like reducing the hours of the business. And this licensee has been here for 90 days and has done tons to make this work and wants to make this work and is devoted to make this work. And these incidents that we are talking about are either out of sight of their control, they have no control over people in the street. Once there were 10 police officers on April 7th, cops had taken control of that scene. No one here who owns a bar can control the younger sister showing up to a bar with a valid ID. A licensee is required to prevent illegal activity on their premises, but mitigating factors matter. And I think there's a lot of that here. And I just feel that if this board was going to give this licensee a chance, taking away the hours after 90 days when so much went down with the prior owners, and when no licensee can cure society's ills, I think that's totally inequitable. And then when you apply the issues with the regulations, I believe there are a number of mitigating factors here to justify giving this licensee a chance to get everything in order. And something else may happen. I'm not saying that any licensee is perfect, because none of them are. People are going to do what they are going to do because society is not perfect. But you have a licensee that is trying. And unless you want vacant storefronts down Lowell Main Street, I think you should give this licensee a chance.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you.
Mr. Wellock, Mr. Jacobs has brought up a few points that I think I'd like to hear from you concerning the complaints and some of the ambiguity. What's the word I'm looking for?
Ambiguity.
Thank you very much. Concerning that, I'd like to hear your reply.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. This hearing is a public hearing about the public need for limiting the hours of the licensed establishment. It's not really a hearing to relitigate disciplinary matters or that are either already acted upon or about to be acted upon or up on appeal.
I do appreciate that, Mr. Wellock, but I think it's germane to this public hearing.
Sure. So a couple quick points. I think that there's been a misunderstanding about the ID of the missing girl. It wasn't her sister's, it was her friend's sister. And I think that you saw an image of that ID and were able to make a judgment call as to whether or not that was a believable ID. You heard also, I believe in the first disciplinary matter where there was an issue with not displaying the license, that the entity was actually already being operated for several days before that violation occurred. There have been a number of disciplinary issues with this licensee. It's been a drain on city resources. It is a drain on city resources when many Lowell police officers have to show up at the licensed establishment to maintain order and decorum, whether it be immediately outside the premises or inside, whether it be about responding to an assault by unknown persons or known persons. The licensee talks about having a security plan. Clearly, there's been some issues with that. So as far as the public need for limiting the hours, I think the board should consider those factors.
Thank you. Before we hear from the commissioners, I think we'll open up the public hearing. At this point, we'd like to open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor in reducing the hours? In favor? In favor? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? Good evening, if you could just state your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Colleen Finn Conlon, and I work down at the bar. I am security. I check IDs, and the unfortunate part about rolling back the hours is that we have a lot of people that work down there, and they rely on this as their income. And I think rolling it back, depending on what time you're going to close, if it's 11 o'clock, our bar doesn't get busy until 10:30 at night, until 1:30 in the morning. At that point, we do shut down our doors. You know, we check our IDs, we, try to keep as much problem away. I stand at the door, and if I see somebody walking up and they're intoxicated and they're going to be a problem when they enter, I turn them away. I watch the crowd inside. If I see a problem, I call for one of my bouncers, we remove them. I mean, once they hit the outside on that street, there's nothing we can do with them. If I see something starting up outside, I've picked up the phone. I've told my manager I'm calling them for a cruiser, because if we can dissolve this issue before it turns into something worse, then that's what we do.
To refresh my memory, when you say you have to call bouncers, do you have a headset, or are you actually yelling out to get one of your
No, I
bouncers?
don't have a headset, but I have a bouncer at the door.
Yeah.
I have one inside. I have two in the corner.
Okay,
I have a flashlight, but they're very aware where I am, and
all right, thank you,
you're welcome.
appreciate it. Anybody else like to speak in the opposition of rolling back the hours? Opposition? Opposition? Could you state your name for the record, sir?
Hello, my name is Demetrius Papoulias. I am one of the managers of Bar 74 in Revolution. I have been there with the prior companies that were running the place. Ever since Mr. Joe Lazzadorian took over, he gave me mostly the autonomy to run downstairs Bar 74, which was Mill City Pub before. And when my tenure, I wasn't the manager on record, I had no issues. For the entire year, or 10 months, Joe Lazzadorian took control of the bar. After Mr. Salvo bought the bar and turned to Bar 74, as I said, the night with the young lady going into the bathroom, was it an oversight? Yes, but just to remind you, both bars at the end of the night use one egress, because for the safety of the building, we don't want people coming in and out of the building but that night, the DJs or whatever did let somebody in, and every night at 2:30, I live over at Fairburn Building, 10 Kearney Square. I check every single door. There's 4 doors. And like clockwork, I pull every door to make sure it's locked. If one door is open, or for somebody emptying out equipment, I tell my security, please make sure the door is locked. But as I said, I rely on this job. I've been there for almost 6 years. I support my mother, who lives over at 347 Market Street, who just became a widow. My dad passed away, who was in business in Lowell for 54 years. He owned the Isle Diner. He owned Palmer Restaurants, too. So my thing is, I take good pride in working downtown Lowell, and I hate to see the hours get cut back for a few minor mistakes that we are willing to correct.
You had mentioned that you were the manager there when Mr. Lazzadorian was there and nothing else happened. You weren't asked to come on to become the manager of record once?
I refused.
Could you elaborate on that?
They asked me, and I was just like, and at this point, I don't want to become the manager on record. That was all.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Come right to the lectern. Please just state your name for the record, please.
My name's Lily Hollingworth, and I'm one of the bartenders. And I would hate to see it close because it affects my income. And right now, this actually is my only job. I help my mom work at her flower shop in Derry, New Hampshire, but that's when she needs me.
The first speaker who spoke in opposition that rolling back the hours, obviously they don't start coming in until 10:30, 11.
It doesn't get busy till later.
I was going to say, it's probably
it
later.
really
So
doesn't.
you're actually is between 12 and 1:30 is where you're making your money.
And I'll come in sometimes if they, to open up, whether it's 4:30 to open up for 5. Like summer hours will be open at, try to open up earlier, and there's really not a lot of people. Like.
So what time would you say? Really, they're really hitting the doors at what time? Midnight?
I mean, there's times where they can come in around, 10, 10:30, but, for a while it's been around 11, 11:30.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. And last call for anybody in opposition. Hearing no one else, that portion of the public hearing is closed. I will open up to the commissioners for any comments or questions to either council, if they wish. Commissioner Howe.
I have some questions for Lauren DeSalvo.
Hi,
Hi, please state your name.
Lauren DeSalvo,
And where do you live?
Cortland Manor, New York.
And have you ever lived in Lowell?
No,
Do you have any relatives in Lowell?
I do not.
Do you know the city manager of Lowell?
No, I do not.
Do you know who the mayor is?
No, I do not.
Okay. Are you familiar with any of the neighborhoods of Lowell?
Very little, yeah.
Okay.
The neighboring businesses, yes.
That's all I have for Lauren. Thank you. I will also, through the chairman, I'd like to ask Deputy Webb some questions. Deputy Webb, are you familiar with the additional police presence needed during the weekend times because of this bar?
Yes, I am.
Could you explain that?
Well, on a regular basis, in addition to calls that officers respond to at both of these establishments, supervisors on the overnight shift find it necessary to assign officers to monitor closing time because of the amount of people pouring out of the bars and their conduct.
And does that leave other parts of the city unrepresented or basically exposed to additional risk of?
Yes, these officers have to be drawn from other neighborhoods, and at time it does cause a shortage of officers in those neighborhoods.
I have some questions for counsel. Attorney Jacobs, it's actually good to see you back here.
Thank you.
You had quite a dog and pony show back in January that you presented, and I've saved this. And some of the priorities listed, train staff in security techniques, train staff in alcoholic beverage service, and implement security technology. You were not here for the hearing regarding the incident of March 24th, 2017. And the gentleman that just got up said that, leaving the young girl in the ladies' room, that was an oversight. To me, that was an egregious incident. And that happened at Bar 74. The service of the alcohol for the minors happened at Revolution. And these other matters that happened on March 3rd, I don't disagree that, I mean, they are violations, but I don't disagree with you about the severity, although the food safety was a problem. But that March 24th incident was so outrageous that I told their current counsel that he was lucky they didn't have a wrongful death claim on their hands. I saw no excuse for leaving this young girl in the bathroom when her friends were looking for her. So the other issue of the checking of the IDs, 3 of the individuals, I believe, had out-of-state licenses, which is a huge red flag. And as city solicitor pointed out, the ID of the older sister was the friend used the ID of the older sister's, the friend. They weren't related. They weren't related, and they didn't look alike. So they weren't checking the IDs. There's ways to figure out if an ID is fake or not. And so the list of the priorities, those 3 were not complied with. And when you just said that it would be better if the license wasn't issued in the first place, I was one of the ones that voted for it, and yeah, I guess it would be better. I kind of agree with you on that. So I have a major problem with an absentee owner. LD Holdings is 100% owned by Lauren DeSalvo. She's never lived here. She doesn't know who Kevin Murphy is. So I don't see how, if she's poured her life savings into this bar, maybe she ought to move up here and see what's going on. That's my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Donahue?
Thank you. Council, I also voted for this license. Another one of the new people, relatively new on the board when I voted for it. I felt that you presented a great case.
Thank you,
But it
sir.
seemed from the day that the license was issued, there were problems. It seems as though 74, a revolution came up in police reports, at meetings, regularly, culminating in that awful night where the young lady was left in the ladies' room. It seems to be a company or companies that are not being managed properly. As you said, there were going to be things done. I think the promises made have not been kept, and it seems that without this board hammering away, nothing's going to be done. It's just going to go on. An absentee owner and people that don't have a dog in the fight running the show. And I would think that the day you got a liquor license, you would want to be there and you would want to hammer the nail into the wall to put up and display what you'd done. We've seen none of that, and then we have false licenses, kids getting in, and the other incident that I mentioned with the young lady. I'm not worried about some guy that says somebody attacked them inside and then nothing came of it. Maybe it's the small things too. It's the food, it's the not having a license on display, just a number of things that show inattention to a very, very responsible privilege that's been given to Ms. DeSalvo to get a license and a liquor license. Not just any license, a liquor license, which is a grave responsibility as far as I'm concerned. So I think you maybe want to address those, but I find the concerns that and the disappointment since the day you were last here have been more than I think this board wants to take. And maybe in the past, other boards had not done it, but the board at this time, the makeup of the board seems to want to look at more responsible owners, managers in the city, not just your bars, throughout the city. And I've noticed a couple of different bars in the city that are coming up with the same poor management, and that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Counselor, thank you for bringing up the record of the past managers of the establishment. And you mentioned that there were some months they had 3 or 4 different times the police were called there. Your team is no different. In the month of March, you've had the police there 3 times. They were there a total of 12 times, but most of the time they were visiting there. But on 3 occasions, they were called there for problems. And also, in March, for the reservations, they had to go there 4 times for problems.
For reservations?
Revolutions, I'm sorry, revolutions. They had to go there 4 times. So there is a management problem here. There is the security there is not under control by any means. Yet the taxpayers are sick and tired of having the police service this establishment as often as they do, and it's a burden. And I really and truly believe that you need to take a look at your staff. It's the same staff that was with the last management teams.
Actually, I wanted to address that with you tonight.
Okay, so that's where I'm coming from, okay? The management team needs to take a good look at it and see what's going on. They need some professional help.
And maybe this is in part my fault. So my client was interested in changing one of the managers. But given, the significant pushback we had when we initially were approved for the license, I suggested that she wait. So my clients told me tonight that they are definitely filing a request for change of manager. And if that weighs in on the board in any way, I will get that filed tomorrow. So I certainly understand some of those concerns, and I'd like to just respond. I understand the out-of-state owner, but and I get the sort of gut reaction to that. We're all from the greater Boston area, we're from Massachusetts, we're sort of very insular community, and especially with New York, there's a lot of rivalries there. I'm not saying that's playing into it here, but there's nothing in the regulations. In fact, they specifically say that your residence shouldn't impact whether or not you can own a business that is a license holder. But I understand the concern is that this particular owner may not be present, and that's the issue. But I think the board, they don't understand what's happening in the background. And I think the time that Ms. DeSalvo invests in making sure, literally multiple times a day, every day, that this place is being run properly, I think that maybe you're underestimating that. She does keep track and is involved. This is also 2017. You don't have to be physically present anymore to have video conferences, phone conferences, email. That's how everybody communicates. I deal with clients halfway across the world who've never been in my office. It's no different than if they were there.
But Counselor, when you have an establishment that's having the problems that this establishment is having, an absentee owner is not helping out.
I understand that, and at least with the incident from March 24th with the woman, it's a catch-22. You had a male bouncer or a male security guard who's got to enter a female bathroom to check and make sure that there's no one there. My understanding is that they did that, and they looked under the stalls and saw no feet. So, like I said, you're not going to be able to protect against every potentiality, every potential issue, just like we can't protect against every potential terrorist attack. It's impossible. People are going to do what they're going to do, and there's no way, unless you want a completely closed society, to protect against everything. And even though I understand the concern, I don't believe that single incident justifies taking away the hours or reducing the hours. And they paid their price. They were suspended for 3 days. They suffered the penalty for that. But now it seems like the board is trying to have a second bite at the apple and hit them again for kind of the same issue. And that's really the most serious one that the board seems to articulate. And I personally feel that that ID, even if scanned with an ID scanner, it would have shown up valid. You're talking about a young lady who gets dressed up, she's trying to look older. I used to actually be a bouncer at a bar years ago in another life. I can see you looking at an ID of a young lady and thinking, well, I'm sure that's her. I mean, people change over the course of a few years, especially at that age. I question whether this particular bar is the cause of the personnel that the police department puts on the streets on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. I suspect that no matter what the board does with this particular bar, the number of officers that the police department has patrolling the streets on a given night will not change. And it's not simply this bar. I mean, the police are there to patrol all the bars because all the bars let out at the same time. So I think trying to single out one particular bar for the entire bar community's patrons coming out into the street, I think that's just, I don't think that's fair to any particular single person. And I do understand the board's desire, and certainly the mayor or the city manager's desire, to crack down on the bars. I mean, he has made that statement, but you have a licensee who's been here for 90 days. You have other licensees that have been here for years and have years of violations. And I don't see the board taking a look. I don't see them here today. My understanding is there was another very serious incident with another bar just recently. I don't see anything on the agenda to reduce their hours. And I wonder what is so unique about this bar owner that we're here for her today. And I don't know the answer to that. As far as the police reports and the letters to the board, I do feel, just from reading through them, and I've done so with a very fine-tooth comb, I feel that there is a little bit of an attempt to highlight this bar. I have gone through the agenda for months and months, and I do not see the same thing for other bars. And as for the food, I agree that's gross. But that was discovered the very day they took over with the new license. I suspect, and I don't know the answer because I haven't inquired, but I suspect that had to have been food from the prior owner if it was dated, as the report says, 2016. But the report also does note that they checked the crowd certificates for the security personnel, and they all had them. So we did take measures as stated in that security plan. Those people are trained, they do have tips, they are crowd certified, and this licensee, I do believe it is counterproductive to reduce the hours and rob the licensee of the funds necessary to hire maybe an additional 1 or 2 security guards to deal with issues. I think maybe if the board was going to impose something, it should be that before taking the funds away that the licensee needs to pay for that type of thing.
Commissioner McCarthy, anything further on your?
Council, you are aware in the month of March, between both establishments, there were 7 of times that the police had to were called there for disturbances.
I was not aware of that. I have all the reports that were sent to the licensee, and I have March 11th. The March 3rd one was the paper thing. That was the routine swing by.
You had March 3rd, you had March 3rd again, you had March 18th.
Well, but March 3rd was the same incident. That was the routine inspection by ISIS.
The point I'm trying to make, and I think the board wants to project here, there's a problem at this establishment. You can talk about any other establishment you want in the city, but they don't have the problems that we're having here. And it's now we got a new management team, a new company in there. We're having the same problems again.
Well, I disagree that other bars don't have the same problems, because the other licensee who was here tonight actually had a very similar incident as LD Holdings did just the other night during the pub crawl. They also are facing the promoter issue and the failure to notify issue. But if the board, if your issue is to highlight the number of dated and time-stamped incidents, I get it that you're trying to highlight that this is a problem area, but I think it's important to note that you're talking about 2 licensed premises, so everything is doubled. You have ISIS that goes by to do a routine inspection for one place to go to the next place. That's really one incident, but you're counting it as 2. You have March 24th, that incident with the 19-year-old. I mean, it's one incident, but it's 2 infractions because it's 2 licensees. You're counting that as 2, but it's really 1. So I understand what you're trying to do, but I think, again, and I don't understand why, but there does seem to be an attempt to highlight and pile on this particular licensee. And I don't know why.
Well, I thought I made it very clear. It's the amount of times that the police has to go there. And we just can't tolerate this.
But how many times did the police how many times did ISIS do a routine inspection of all the other bars on that particular day?
I have no idea. You have to ask the police department.
I can't imagine that every other bar in the Merrimack Street area was inspected that day and had all 4 of those notices. If you get caught drunk driving, you're in trouble. I would be interested to know.
Counselor, I'm going to end on one thing. Your client has been in front of us for the last 4 meetings here with some type of a problem from that establishment.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Krieger.
Yeah, I'm what's known as a blow-in. I was born in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Those of you historians know that yesterday was the anniversary of the big flood that killed a couple thousand people. And I voted in California for 30 years and lived overseas for 15.
Say no more.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So, you know, I'm not it's got to be a Lowell person. You talked about promoters. My question for you is, do promoters get paid by the establishments, or do they just do it because they make money selling the T-shirts?
I believe they get paid. I don't think they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts.
Okay, so there is some thread there. I was concerned about the woman in the bar. You may not be old enough to remember Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, cowboy, cowgirl. Yeah, I was in Germany when their son drank himself to death. He was in the army. These things happen. As in Naples, Italy, where a guy I worked with drank himself to death one night. These are dangerous things. We have to be careful. The issue, I think, is there's a cluster of establishments down in that part of town that draw attention. And Dudley's, Revolution, and 74 seem to be the prime establishments. There's another one later on in the agenda where we'll discuss someone who has not been brought to our attention in months, Vanek Khan, but we're going to look at his situation soon. So I'm concerned there's a cluster of problems down there. I don't really know what the problem is, but I want to see a change, a small change in how we do business down there to see if that impacts what's going on. With regard to doing reports, I think my view is that if something happens, send something in to Ryan Wynn. It's not that hard. Dear Ryan, we had a fracas here last night. Nobody was hurt. We didn't call the police. Thank you. And then sign it. This is not that hard. Give him more paperwork rather than less. That just seems to be pretty straightforward to me. We are involved in trying to help businesses make money and trying to help customers enjoy themselves and trying to make sure the neighbors aren't disturbed too much, make sure that the cost to the city is not too high, and make sure we don't have too many incidences like when Roy Rogers and Dale Evans' adopted son overdrank and died in the barracks overnight. I think I'm done.
Thank you.
If I can just point out one other.
Sure, go ahead, Councilor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. So Mr. Wynn was kind enough to give me a list of the establishment calls, and this may be what Member McCarthy has in front of him. I feel like this kind of explains my point, If you look at the dates, you have 3/10, 3/18, 3/31, 4/1, 4/8, 4/9. None of those dates resulted in a case number. And the superintendent of police never provided a notice to the board saying, hey, board, we had an incident involving the licensee that they failed to notify you for. But they're on this sheet. So it makes me wonder, how is the licensee supposed to know what calls or what responses warrant a notification to the board? Because of these 3 case numbers we all know about, we talked about them tonight, but these other dates, I don't even know what these are for. These may be for nothing. But the board is using this list as a basis to reduce the licensee's hours, using police responses that the licensee has 0 notification of. The licensee has no notification of an incident on 3/4 or 3/10. I don't have any notice involving that. I'm counsel of record.
Well, I don't think there was a problem on those dates. I think that they just stopped by, the police just stopped by that day.
Deputy Superintendent, can you elaborate on these calls that were made to the police department?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Not every incident of police activity at an establishment results in a complaint before this commission. On some of these calls that have a case number associated with them that have not come before the commission, I looked at those reports and on a case-by-case basis decided that it was not worthy of attention as far as the complaint goes. But I think you can take the cumulative effect of all of these calls and see that the great amount of police attention is directed at these establishments.
When the police are called to the scene, do they make an attempt to contact the manager of record? Because then, at that point, I would think that if the onus of responsibility would be on the manager to then write something quick to Ryan within the next 48 hours that something transpired.
If the responding police officers have to enter the establishment
right.
On some type of investigation or response to a call, they would notify the management.
I would imagine most of these calls are due to noise, or, I mean, these are called from civilians, right?
Anything that has a case number that is associated with it usually is a result of some type of call to the police station, or it could be officer-initiated activity.
Yep.
Some of the calls that are listed as directed patrol are not necessarily responses to inside the bar, but those are more than likely assignments that were made based on the supervisor's evaluation of what was going on a particular evening.
I understand that, okay.
If I could point out one other thing, Mr. Chairman, all of these incidents that are listed in this report, there is only one on March 3rd to Revolution. That is the only one that was actually a police department initiated inspection of the premises. Everything else is either a result of a call for service to the premises or an assignment made by a supervisor due to his evaluation of the activity that was taking place at the premises.
When we get a call for a directed patrol and there's 2 officers, does that mean 2 cars or the 2 officers in that one patrol car?
That would more than likely be, it could be 2 officers in one car, it could be 2 cars, it could be 2 officers on foot.
Depending, right?
Right.
Who's available at that time, okay. If I may, I was one of the votes that did not vote in favor of this license. And I expressed my reason for that was, and I've brought this up numerous times, and my wife always says, why do you do that? But owning a bar that I did for 5 years, well, 10 years actually, I think I was there 25 hours a day. And it was incomprehensible to me that somebody would invest their life savings in an establishment and not even be here. And that was the only reason why I didn't vote, because I think it's great that somebody wants to open up their own business here and make money, and, you know, we got two colleges here, and they need a place to go, and everything's great. But not having the owner of the establishment to be there, if not to be another pair of eyes, but to take, here's my money, here's a $50,000 investment or whatever, and then trust that to two people that you don't even know, but have heard good things about. And that was testimony that I did get. That just put me, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't vote for it. And Dimitri, and I apologize, sir, I forget your last name. You are correct. When you were the manager downstairs at Mill City Pub, we didn't have any problems with you on board. So this makes me think again, are the right people in the right places? We didn't have any problems with 10 months.
Maybe we should put them in.
That's not my call, it's your absentee owner's call. But I have to concur with Commissioner Howe. I got a bad feeling about this. I got a bad feeling that an absentee owner is, listen, we know what the past has been at this place, and I still can't wrap my arms around it. I just can't do it. I know how much time and effort I put into my bar and what it took to make sure that we kept the peace there. And I can't get my arms around it at all, that you have somebody that's putting in that investment and they're not there. Even if they were there for the opening in the first 3 months, all this time, the 3 months, and said, listen, I feel comfortable now. I can leave it in the hands of these guys that you know what, I've trained, I feel great about, and now I can go home, you know, I think she has a daughter or a son. That's great. Then I'd say, all right, that's perfect. But that isn't happening. And I feel bad for the employees here that they make their money from basically 12 to 2. That's when I made my money, I get it.
Yep.
I had a bar on Gorham Street. I had half a Billerica coming in at 1 o'clock. I get it. And you got half a Billerica, Chelmsford, Drake coming in at last call. And guess when all these calls are? Over at past 1:15.
Right.
All right? So, I'm not here to say, I want to shut down this place, Council. I really don't, you know, as a death warrant, as you quoted. But we need to do some tweaking here. And if we don't, we're going down the same road as the past two previous owners. There's no question in my mind. I've been in this business. I know the business. I know what it takes. They need guys like him who can keep the peace and know what's going on all the time. He's got eyes in front of him, and he's got 2 eyes in the back of his head. I need that guy. You need that guy. You need that guy.
May I make a suggestion?
Not yet. I'm not done yet.
Okay.
This is basically almost your last chance. It really is. And you've done a fine job tonight, Councilor. You really have.
Thank you, sir.
But I think this board has pretty much had it. Now, I'm not sure what the wish of this board is going to be or a motion is going to be made, but there's going to be something here. And it's going to give you that time to tweak and make it right. This place is a gold mine if you want it to be a gold mine. It really is. You've got how many college students in this city that would like to have a good time? Listen, I understand. I've had a bar. People come in and talk. You can't stop everybody. Somebody's going to take a punch at somebody who's going to knock somebody down. It happens. I get it. But we can't have 19-year-old girls sitting in the bathroom for 4 hours. Somebody missed something that night. Egregious mistake. Things like that don't happen. But maybe if an owner was there and was the last person to check that place out, they might have found it. But that owner wasn't there. So I think I've been more than emphatic when I state to you, Mr. Salvo, that something's got to change. I thank you for the time. Commissioner Krieger, did you have something further? Or did any other commissioners have anything else further? I know you had said you wanted this.
I'm thinking.
You're thinking. Go ahead,
If I
Councilor,
may, thank
please.
you. I just wanted to point out one quick thing and then make a suggestion, humbly. I wanted to point out that Bar 74, according to the notice for tonight's hearing, has only one recorded violation pursuant to the hearing that occurred on April 27th. I would hope that that is at least one of the factors in the board making its decision. The last thing I would want to say is just a suggestion, because I understand the board seems frustrated, but there does seem to be a common thread that you want this place to succeed, but under your terms, which I understand. I think there may be an option tonight to set forth some additional conditions, whether that be, you mentioned headsets, an additional security personnel or two, and allow the licensee 2 weeks to change the manager, come back, or 3 weeks, you have another hearing in 3 weeks, come back with a change of manager request, evidence that they've now implemented headsets, and evidence of, an additional security guard or two, your choice, and provide the board with proof of that, and see where we are.
If no other commissioner has anything to say and they wouldn't mind me making a motion, I'd appreciate it. Does anybody have any objections to that? I'm gonna kind of negotiate with you here a little bit on this, okay? Because I do know where you're coming from, and I am empathetic to that. I think we have some security issues, and I concur with Commissioner McCarthy on this end, all right? I want to see that changed. We all want to see that changed. That security, some security needs to be tweaked, all right? Now, we have a huge weekend coming up in July, which is going to be basically your make it or break it is the way I'm looking at it. And that's the end of July, 27th, 28th, and 28th, the Folk Festival, which is a big weekend, okay? I'm ready to make a motion that for our July 13th meeting, you're going to come back here, all right? But until then, you're going to have a 1 o'clock curfew, okay? Nothing happens between then and July 13th, I'd be willing to bring it back to 2 o'clock. That gives you time to show this board that you're looking for a new manager of record. You're going to give us something a little bit better than Commissioner Howard showed us on that dog and pony show about security. And you're going to convince this board that this is going to work. And Mrs. DeSalvo is going to be a big part of that, Mr. Jacobs. She absolutely has to be.
I agree.
All right?
Sir.
So I think that's basically 42 days. It's a stiff 1 hour. There's no doubt about it. But I have noticed these calls, and everything was after 1:15. You got the majority of these calls, be it noise or be what. We can debate this all night, Mr. Jacobs, but that would be my motion. And then come back July 13th. If everything has gone well, we've done all right, I personally would be willing to bring it back to 2 o'clock.
Is that in the form of a motion?
It would be in a form of a motion.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. Secretary Wynn, could I have a roll call on that, please?
Can we just clarify, is that for both licensees or just
No,
Revolution?
we haven't heard the next complaint yet. We haven't addressed the next public hearing yet. This is just concerning Bar 74.
So with respect to the motion by Chairman Dakota, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy, to roll back the hour, or decrease the hour for the licensee LD Holdings LLC, doing business as Bar 74 Lounge and Grill at 7686 Merrimack Street, from the present 2 a.m. legal closing time to 1 a.m. legal closing time, effective forthwith to July 13th, 2017.
To July 13th, until the vote is taken on July 13th at our meeting. If everything is voted on, they can open up July 13th till 2 a.m. like a roll call, please.
Yes. Chairman Dakota?
Yes.
Commissioner Krieger?
Yes.
Commissioner McCarthy?
Yes.
Commissioner Howe?
Yes.
Commissioner Donahue?
Yes.
5 yeas.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Next on the agenda.
Commissioner will now proceed to number 10 on the meeting agenda, public hearing in consideration of the public need in accordance with Mass General Law, Section 12, Chapter 138, to decrease the hours during which sales of alcoholic beverages may be made by LD Holdings LLC, doing business as Revolution, located at 74 Merrimack Street. The commission may fix the hours for the sales of alcohol beverages for a licensee before 11 a.m. and after 11 p.m. during the calendar week, which is Sunday to Saturday.
State your name for the record, sir.
Travis Jacobs.
Mr. Jacobs. I don't know how you want to proceed with this. I would like to open up the public hearing, and then we'll go on from there, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
All
Thank you,
right,
sir.
that's fine. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor of reducing the hours at Revolution? In favor, in favor, in favor. That portion of the public hearing is closed. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition, in opposition. That portion of the public hearing is closed. I think, I'll bring it forth to the commissioners at this time. Any questions or comments on how we'd like to proceed on this? I would be,
I'd move that we do the Revolution as we did to Bar 74.
I'll second that.
seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. Secretary Nguyen, roll call, please. Commissioner Donahue, my apologies, my apologies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I really feel I kind of don't want to reiterate and repeat myself and bore the board to death with repeating everything that I said, because what I said really applied to both. And Bar 74 has only one violation against it from that April 27th hearing. But I do believe that the board has sent a message with respect to Bar 74. And these additional conditions, changing the manager, security changes, adding personnel, headsets, those things cost money. Allowing the licensee for Revolution to remain open as is until July 13th when the board conducts its review would at least allow the licensee to collect the funds necessary to implement all of those changes.
Your comments are appreciated. There's no doubt about that. Let me be quite frank with you, Mr. Jacobs. You've done a tremendous job, because I was going to roll him back a little bit more.
Thank you, sir.
I ain't kidding you. You've done a tremendous job tonight, and I think I've made my point to Mr. Salvo, the managers, and the employees here tonight that we need to keep the ship straight up, because both places go hand in hand. There's no question about it. And I'd be just, I don't want to copy what I've just said. So I would, there's a motion on the floor at this time. There was seconded by Commissioner McCarthy to roll back the hours to 1 o'clock in the same conditions as Bar 74.
Chairman Dakota?
Yes.
Commissioner Krieger?
Yes.
Commissioner McCarthy?
Yes.
Commissioner Howe?
Yes.
Commissioner Donahue?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobs, well done.
Thank you. If I could just add one quick thing while we're still
You
on the record. On July 13th, the board is going to do a review, and they're going to receive, I'm sure, a piece of paper just like this.
Mm-hmm.
It is undoubtedly, Merrimack Street is not a quiet street. It is undoubtedly going to include calls just like this with no case number, or even with a case number, that have nothing to do or are not the fault or under the control of the licensee. And I would just hope that when we get to that point...
Prior to tonight's date, you're saying?
Sorry?
Prior to today? Calls?
No, I mean, I'm sure between today and July 13th, there will be calls to that area of Merrimack Street.
And I'm sure you're going to do a great defense when you're here on July 13th.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Attorney, hello.
Mr. Chairman, the change in hours, is that effective tonight?
We'll start that tomorrow night. Start it tomorrow night. Yep. 41 days, I believe, 42 days. June 2nd to July 12th. They come back on the hearing on the 13th. If everything's fine, they can open up till 2 a.m. on the 13th. Next on the agenda, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Proceeding with number 13 on our meeting agenda.
Have we
Communication
really settled on
from-
number 11? When are we scheduling the hearing, which I'd like to see on?
Number 11, Ryan.
On 13 July.
Communications from William M. Taylor, Superintendent of Police, to the License Commission dated May 10, 2017, regarding all alcoholic beverages restaurant licensees alleged to use a promoter without obtaining a promotion license. From the Lowell License Commission, a violation of Rule 2.12 of the Alcohol Beverages Regulations. Middle Street Village, Inc., doing business as the Village Smokehouse, 9298 Middle Street. Alan F. Kaplan, manager. LD Holdings, LLC, doing business as Bar 74 Lounge and Grills, 7678 Merrimack Street. David E. Healy, manager. LD Holdings, LLC, doing business as Revolution, 74 Merrimack. John Bryan, manager. LCRC, Inc., doing business as Dudley's, 19 Merrimack Street. Matthew J. Murphy, interim manager.
Motion by Commissioner Donahue, seconded by Commissioner Howard to schedule hearings for all establishments on June 22nd. Second by Commissioner Krieger.
No.
Nope, I apologize. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Commissioner Krieger would like to see it on 13 July because he's not going to be here on the 22nd.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay.
Okay,
We're
so
gonna
let's.
push it to the
So the
13th.
secretary may properly understand the matter.
We need to send correspondence to Councilor Zame to let him know that we're gonna go the 13th instead of the 22nd.
So the hearings relating to the promotion, using a promoter without a promotion license allegedly, those hearings to be for July 13th?
Correct. Commissioner Krieger?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one of the reasons why I asked for the hearing for the other matters about Dudley's to be rescheduled was for the economic reasons of having all of the police officers who are going to be testifying about that incident on the same day as they were testifying for the disciplinary hearing, so that we're only paying them once. So I was wondering if the board would entertain the idea of moving that hearing to the 13th or keeping it at its former date.
With respect to Commissioner Krieger, I think we
I'm
can...
sorry, could I?
No, so what we want to do with Dudley's complaint is move that also to the 13th as well.
Oh, I thought that was understood.
No, we were going to do the 22nd. I think that was corresponded to Mr. Zame and Mr. Murphy when Mr. Zame was at the lectern. So everything will go on the 13th, Ryan, basically.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
Okay.
Commissioner
very good.
Krieger?
Thank you.
Do we have the power or the authority to subpoena the promoter who's probably not a Lowellian?
Attorney Wellock?
I believe so. We can certainly try.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we attempt to subpoena the promoter to be part of our discussion.
Jim?
Just for more information, I'm not quite sure who the promoter is at the moment. So it's a company. It's to figure out who the person is that would need to be subpoenaed. So I'll have to get back to you on that, Commissioner.
We'll be able to get that. Okay.
You could subpoena the 30B6 witness?
God, I love attorneys all over the place here. This is great. Next. All said, Mr. Jacobs, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Salvo.
Proceeding with number 13 on our meeting agenda, the communication from William M. Taylor, Superintendent of Police, to the License Commission dated May 18, 2017, regarding Bannock doing business as The Crown, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 74 Middlesex Street, for allegations of misconduct.
Motion by Commissioner Howe, seconded by Commissioner Donahue to schedule a hearing on June 22nd. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next.
And number 14 is the communication from William M. Taylor, Superintendent of Police, to the License Commission dated May 29, 2017, regarding the licensee Alexander LLC, doing business as Vibe Restaurant and Lounge, which his manager is Alexei Torres, manager of record for all alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 179 Central Street, allegations of misconduct.
Motion by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy to schedule a hearing on June 22nd. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
By Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner Howe. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Everyone have a good evening.